Hey Gunslinger Nation, I'm back with a no-nonsense take on the gaming world and entertainment. Today we're talking about one of the biggest reasons the gaming industry is going downhill: nepotism and bad hires. For those that don't know, nepotism is when people land jobs or promotions not because they're the best for the role, but because they know the right people. And how many jobs do we know that happens in? But in truth, I'm going to call it for what it is. It's favoritism, whether it's family, friends, or just industry connections. And in gaming, that means we're seeing the same failed developers getting major leadership roles despite having a track record of disasters. The result? More broken games, more franchises ruined, and more studios that helped create this great gaming world are failing, and more talented developers getting thrown out while the worst of the industry keep failing upward. They fail, and then they know somebody in another studio and they get a better job. How does that make sense? We're seeing this everywhere, from Dragon Age the Veilguard to Ghost of Yotei. Let's break it down. So, the gaming industry used to be about skill. If you're good at making games, you get hired. If you make great games, you get promoted. Simple, right? But apparently not, because now you can completely tank a game and still land a job at another major studio. You can be responsible for one of the biggest flops in gaming history and somehow get more creative control over another AAA title. And the biggest reason? It's not about the results anymore. It's about connections. Let's talk about Dragon Age the Veilguard and BioWare. This studio has been a train wreck for years. Just look at Mass Effect Andromeda back in 2017. The broken animations, the weak writing, the unfinished mechanics. It was a huge disappointment. Anthem 2019, 2 years later. One of the worst live service launches ever. Promised a Destiny competitor. Delivered a hollow, incomplete mess. And just look at Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's been 4 months since release, and gender reveals, non-binary characters, top surgery scars. It just forced sexuality throughout the entire game. The game didn't even have the same dark mystique as the first one. The Origins was amazing. I love Origins. I still replay Origins, and it's been like 10 years. It's been over 10 years because the game is so compelling. And each time you play through the game, you could change decisions and have a different ending. I love those games. But Veilguard, I refuse to even touch it because it looks like total crap. They changed the fighting style and the mechanics, and it's to more mission based or whatever. It's not open world anymore like it was before. You don't really get to decide anything, and even if you do decide, in the end your decisions don't mean anything. Veilguard is horrendous, and yet those same developers who led Anthem and Andromeda into the ground still led Veilguard into the ground. And now these same developers have fled BioWare and are getting better jobs, the same type of job, if not better jobs, in another company. How does that make sense? I'm sorry, I'm going to use this for an example. If a contractor builds a house and that house collapses in on itself because of piss poor construction, I'm not going to hire that contractor to build my house. And if he goes to work for another company as a contractor or as a foreman or whatever like that, I'm not hiring that company unless they make sure that person is not on my house. And more likely, I just won't hire that company because I would know better. But gaming companies are doing this to their games. How does that make sense? But on the other side, it's not just a nepotism. And I hope I'm saying that word right. I'm pronouncing it as it looks, so I'm hoping I'm saying it right. It's also outside groups pushing hiring decisions that have nothing to do with talent. Take Sweet Baby Inc., a DEI consulting firm that's been behind some of the most blatant bad writing in modern gaming. They worked on Saints Row in 2022, one of the most hated reboots ever. They influenced Forspoken in 2023, a game with some of the most cringeworthy dialogue in recent memory. Now they're involved with multiple upcoming AAA projects, ensuring narrative quality continues to decline. But what kills me about Sweet Baby Inc. the most is that Kim Belair, the leader of Sweet Baby Inc., says that the best way, their business plan, is basically to bully and to harass people into using their service. But isn't that just bad business? That's a hostile work environment, which is also illegal. Make that make sense. So instead of hiring developers based on skill, studios are letting DEI-focused firms dictate who gets in and what kind of stories get told. If you dare criticize it, they call you a bigot. Really? A bigot? Just because I don't agree with you and I don't echo your bullcrap, I don't have to agree with you. Just like at the end of the day, when you produce crap, I don't have to buy it. Because like that old saying goes, you can sprinkle sugar on a turd all day long, but it don't make it candy. And while all of this is happening, these activist developers and nepotism hires are locking in leadership roles. The real talent in gaming is being fired and left and right. BioWare just laid off over 50 developers, some of who have been with the company for decades. Why? Because they needed to cut costs after the Veilguard's development crashed. That game just crashed and burned. Veteran programmers, animators, and designers are losing their jobs while DEI hires and agenda-pushing developers keep their positions. Make it make sense. And now we learn Wizards of the Coast went as far as hiding their hiring practices, refusing to disclose how many DEI hires they've made because they knew the backlash would be massive. So now, instead of hiring the best to make games, these companies are prioritizing connections and activism, and it's showing. If the gaming industry wants to survive, it needs to go back to hiring based on talent, not politics or personal connections. They need to stop rewarding failure. If someone botches a major project, don't give them another one. Hold them accountable. Fire the people responsible for the bad games, not the ones that actually doing their jobs. Get rid of DEI-driven hiring. Games don't need activists. They need actual developers who know how to make fun, engaging content. At the end of the day, gamers don't care about corporate politics. We don't care about who's who. We don't care about your social activism. We just want good games. Keep the corporate politics and the actual politics out of gaming, because 90% of it is fantasy. So I gotta ask, what do y'all think? Is nepotism and DEI killing gaming? Or is there still hope to turn this around? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts. That's it for today, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp and your aim true. I'll see y'all next time.